Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, today we are diving into a highly guarded, incredibly effective method that literally separates the absolute best students from the rest of the pack. We're unpacking the exact 7-step system that the top 1% of students use to learn faster, remember longer, and honestly, study a whole lot less. If you're tired of putting in endless hours with very little to show for it, well, this explainer is going to change everything for you.
So why do you forget half of what you study? I mean, seriously, I want you to really think about it. You sit at your desk for hours, you highlight every single line on the page, you reread your notes over and over until your eyes blur. But then the exam comes and the information is just gone. And what do? You blame yourself. You think, I'm just not smart enough, or I didn't work hard enough. Well, I'm here to validate your frustration right now. You are completely wrong about why you're failing. The problem isn't your intelligence, and it definitely isn't your effort. It's a massive system failure. Nobody ever actually taught you how learning works. You see, the divide between those two outcomes is massive. The average student relies almost entirely on sheer brute force effort. They lean on those painful passive methods like rereading and highlighting. Because it feels like hard work, they just assume it's working. But the 1% student, they don't just rely on effort, they rely on a bulletproof system. They use evidence-based approaches to basically hack their brain's natural processing power. So, to get you operating like that top 1%, we're going to break this 7-step system down into a clear roadmap. We'll start with phase 1, perfect preparation. Then we'll move into phase 2, active execution. And finally, phase 3, total retention. All right, let's jump right into phase 1, perfect preparation. Think of studying like a high-performance athletic event for your brain. You wouldn't just sprint a marathon without stretching and hydrating first, right? Well, here's a quick overview of how we prepare. Step 1 is setting a target. Step 2 is protecting your energy. And step 3 is curating your environment. These are the absolute foundational elements you have to get right before a single book is even opened. Let's break down step 1. The golden rule here: clarity kills confusion. Most students don't fail because they aren't capable, they fail because they never actually decide what they're trying to learn. They just open a book and sort of expect their brain to passively absorb everything without any direction. It just doesn't work that way. Your brain needs a specific target. So before you even sit down, decide exactly what you're going to conquer. Is it 1 chapter, 5 concepts, 10 mathematical formulas? Whatever it is, write it down. Confusion is the silent reason most people lose focus before they even begin. Moving on to step 2, we got to talk about your internal battery. You need to protect your brain energy. Look, your brain is not a machine running on endless willpower. It literally runs on physical and mental energy. Every single decision you make, every distraction you fight off, every notification you resist, yes, even that random TikTok notification, it drains your capacity to learn. You have to protect this energy like your life depends on it. Sleep properly, eat clean, cut distractions before they have a chance to steal your attention. The students who win aren't necessarily the ones who study the hardest. They're the ones who show up with a brain that is actually ready to learn. Step 3 is totally crucial. Redesign your environment for deep work. Actually, it's more like defending your environment. Your surroundings control your focus way more than your willpower ever will. You simply cannot study effectively in the exact same room where you scroll on your phone, play video games, or binge watch TV. Why? Because your brain has already associated that physical space with distraction and relaxation. You've got to clean your desk, remove everything that pulls your attention away, and keep only what pushes you forward. Your environment doesn't just shape your focus, it ultimately decides who you become. Okay, moving right along to phase 2, active execution. Now that we've set the stage perfectly, we enter the phase where the actual active studying happens. Step 4 is an absolute game changer. Consistency isn't discipline, it's programming. Your brain loves patterns. When you study at random, unpredictable times, your brain never really knows when it's supposed to lock in and focus. But when you follow a fixed daily system and study at the exact same time every single day, your brain starts preparing itself before you even sit down. Pick one time and make it completely non-negotiable. Once your brain is programmed with this pattern, deep focus becomes automatic rather than a struggle. Step 5 introduces one of the most heavily researched concepts in all of learning: active recall. Listen to me carefully on this one. Reading your notes 10 times over is completely, utterly useless compared to testing yourself. Active recall is the process of forcing your brain to retrieve information, and it's that exact act of retrieval that actually strengthens the memory. So, how do we apply this? Well, try asking yourself this exact question during your next study session. What did I just learn? And then, this is the hard part, close the book. Put the notes away.
force your brain to pull that information back up without any help. Write down everything you remember, or answer questions without looking at the source material. Yes, it feels difficult. Yes, it takes way more mental effort than just reading, but you know what? That is exactly the point. What you struggle to recall becomes impossible to forget. You have to embrace that struggle.
All right, finally, we arrive at phase 3, total retention.
This phase is all about the aftermath of a study session. You've done the hard work of learning the material, but how do you permanently stop that precious information from leaking right back out of your brain? Well, I want this number to burn into your memory, 70%. Without any strategic intervention, your brain naturally forgets 70% of what it just learned in a mere 24 hours. I mean, think about that waste of time. You spend hours learning something, and by tomorrow, most of it is just gone, unless you do something about it.
To fight that massive 70% memory drop-off, Step 6 introduces spaced revision, specifically using the 1-3-7 rule. You revise the material after day 1, then you revise it again on day 3, and a third time on day 7. This concept of spaced repetition deliberately moves knowledge from your fragile short-term memory into permanent long-term storage. This right here is the exact difference between frantic, stressful cramming and truly deeply knowing your material.
Which brings us to our final step, Step 7. Hope isn't a strategy. Tracking is. You literally cannot improve what you don't measure. Most students will study for a few hours, close their books, and just kind of quietly hope it was enough to pass. That is a guaranteed way to fail or, at the very least, underperform.
Instead, you need to track your study sessions. You can use a super simple 3-column layout just like this. Every session, write down exactly what I learned, jot down your focus time, and most importantly, log what I struggled with. This simple habit shows you exactly where your time is actually going. Plus, it proves to your brain that real progress is happening. Remember, your brain doesn't believe in blind effort. It believes in hard, measurable evidence. When you track your sessions, just watch how fast your confidence follows.
And that brings us to a final, perfect thought from the source material. Stop studying hard and start studying smart. You now have the exact blueprint. You have the system that top students use to completely dominate their exams, the system that separates the 1% from everyone else. It's time to turn hours of wasted, frustrating effort into actual, undeniable results. So the question I'm leaving you with today is this. Are you going to keep banging your head against the wall with the same broken, passive habits tomorrow? Or are you finally ready to take control, own this system, and become part of that top 1%? The choice is entirely yours. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.